I really needed an upgrade for my car. This is my car's old dash camera, and it wasn't great. Decent specs on paper, 1080p video recording, but the cable was kind of short, and I had to use these little adhesive hooks around my steering wheel and on my dashboard to set it all up, and the loop recording feature never really worked the way it was supposed to. But it was a pain to set up, so I've just kept suffering through using it. Well, the folks at DDPAI reached out to see if I would be interested in testing their new Z50 dual camera GPS enabled dash camera, and I said yes. They're sponsoring this video to take pity on me and my old, not as good dash camera. It's a pity sponsor. Dash cameras. They're products that are extremely more common internationally, and I think they're picking up a bit more steam here in the United States, but we'll talk about some of those issues in adopting this tech later in the video. But the value of a dash cam. It's a kind of insurance in how you drive your car. If anything happens, you have a video record of how an incident went down. And there's some entertainment value. Occasionally you might capture something wacky or funny enough for the internet points on Reddit. What's changed for me over the last couple years is getting more options with better cameras, easier installation. Like, my old camera just sort of stuck out as a thing I had on my dashboard. The ZV50 is a dual camera system that blends into my car a lot more seamlessly. Talking about the camera specs, we've got a main unit for that front camera that includes a display with 4 hardware navigation buttons and a rotating 4K camera housing. This has a cute little Sony image sensor. It's somewhere in the ballpark of a 2-generation-old smartphone camera, which is really good for this class of camera. We have 2 options to power the Z50, either through a car power adapter, formerly called the cigarette port adapter, or DDPAI can also sell you an optional wiring kit to plug directly into your car's fuse box. Both power solution cables are plenty long to run the cable through the insulation and seams around your car's windshield. Ditto the optional rear camera. Now, this is a smaller 1080p camera and also has a great long cable to tuck away into the upholstery and frame of your car. The rear camera has to connect to the main unit, and that's where it gets its power from, and I had plenty of cable. I had a lot of cable left over in my midsize sedan. I took my time to install all of this, and it was a little less than an hour to put it all together. DDPAI includes a little pry tool to tuck the cable in as you go. You gotta be careful because this might illustrate how inexpensive the interior of your car might be. My poor little Nissan. I'm tucking the cable and I'm trying to be careful around the side airbags, and part of the panel just pops right off. That is not an issue with the DDPAI kit. Nissan, come on, that looks pretty cheap. But minus a few concerning moments with my automobile trim, the rest of the installation was super easy. The main thing I would recommend is setting up the dash cam app on your phone first, and then maybe using a portable battery to power the cameras while you set it all up. So that way you don't have to keep your car idling the whole time. You can use your phone screen to line up the camera angle that you want, and then you stick it in place with the included 3M adhesive pads. Almost totally painless. I messed up my pinky's cuticle when that cover popped off my airbags. Other than that, it was completely injury-free. From trying to install previous dash cams, I've always been concerned about where to seat them, where to get the best angle on the road for the video, and then how much of the windshield they might be blocking. The main unit looks like a chunk to have mounted on your windshield, but it fit almost perfectly behind my rear view mirror. Just barely peeks below the mirror. It doesn't obscure any of my field of view, and my wife didn't even know it was on the first time she drove my car after installing it. The Z50 can use up to a 128GB card. I threw a 64 in there. Having the largest possible card installed was a little bit less of a concern because we want to use the feature to loop record. It'll automatically start deleting older video files as it reaches the limits of your storage. You're only saving files when you really need to. You can select and lock a clip to save or transfer it to your phone. Now, those phone transfer speeds are a little slow. It's a wireless connection moving from the unit to your phone. Not bad if you're on the road and you want to save a specific video file, but if you can wait till you get home, you can just pop the memory card and that file transfer is going to be a lot faster. There are so many more sensors included now. GPS tracking that syncs up pretty quick, and looking at my phone readout does a very good job of pacing my actual speed and direction. We also get a 3-axis gyro that can do some basic sudden stop and crash detection. It's not quite as accurate as when you use a puck connected directly to your car computer, but it is handy data and can auto-activate saving of specific clips. So the unit will talk to you. You turn on the car and it says, "Hello, DDPAI." And there was one little voice alert that we couldn't get a handle on what it was saying. The Z50 has basic driving behavior algorithms. It'll detect when traffic starts moving ahead of you, and if you aren't kind of keeping up with the pace of traffic or some object in front of you, it will alert you just to kind of snap you out. Like if you're just kind of zoning out for a second, you didn't see that the light turned green, you don't have to wait for someone to honk on your horn. This actually works pretty quick. And for power management, the Z50 has a capacitor that can keep recording for about 3 seconds if power is suddenly disconnected from the camera, which goes hand in hand with a small chunk of built-in storage that you can use as a buffer. If there's any issue with that power or trying to write to the memory card, the data is stored temporarily on the camera and can then be transferred to the card. Now, if your car supports connecting the camera over a fuse, the camera can drop into a low power mode, and it becomes something of a security camera with time-lapse and event settings, without taking too much of a toll on your car's battery. Then you tie it all into the app where you get a record of trips and mileage, and this is also handy information that can help you fill in a mileage log for your taxes at the end of the year. DDPAI also offers some fun tools to sync to the cloud and help you edit your clips. On the phone app, you can even trim and add music to your dashcam footage, which is something I probably won't do a lot, but you can do that. Of course, the core use of something like this, adding peace of mind, and it should just sort of work on its own. It should get out of your way. I should have gotten rid of my old dash cam a lot sooner. I never completely trusted it would loop record properly, and I never bothered to get the additional accessories and tools and cables to make it a more seamless part of my car. I've been driving with the Z50 for about a month now, and it only took a couple days for it to basically disappear into the operation of my car. I'm not thinking about it, I don't have to manage it as much, and the clips I've been saving for samples look great. The loop recording is working as it should. This is the way it always should have been. Which brings us to the minor concern I kind of referenced at the top of this video, and we should talk about this kind of tech in the United States. This is going to be highly dependent on where you live, but auto manufacturers still struggle to give us tools to protect our property. And insurance companies don't seem much motivated to incentivize people investing in these gadgets. Like, it shouldn't be so rare for cars to have cameras on them that will record people vandalizing or trying to steal your car. That should be the standard, not the exception. So few cars actually incorporate that kind of technology, with most manufacturers there's just nothing we can do to help you out. Guess you'll have to buy a new car. And if that weren't bad enough, I mean, on top of that, I reached out to my auto insurance here in California. This is a device that should improve the safety of a car. It should provide evidence that would help in insurance disputes, and it also should make a car a little harder to steal and a little easier to recover. These types of gadgets should help reduce the costs of claims, and I think that means there should be a financial benefit to installing them. But there currently is no California state subsidy. I will get better data, and that will help my insurance company, but it won't cut my rate here in Los Angeles. That's super lame. And I've written my state officials. If we want to change that, if we want more adoption on dash cams, we should have some kind of break or some kind of subsidy that encourages this behavior. I feel better having this in place. It's not a prohibitively expensive gadget to buy, especially when we think about how expensive it is to own and operate an automobile. And we're using one of their top options, but DDPAI has a selection of dash cams that you can shop, and I'll leave some links down below for more information on their products. Is one of the reasons why I'm holding up the box right now. I'll be leaving the Z50 in place now that it's been installed in my little Nissan. It really has been a great little upgrade. I'm so much happier with this than I was my old camera. A huge thank you to DDPAI for sponsoring this conversation. Hopefully it kind of helps spark a little interest in maybe augmenting the video recording capabilities of your car. And if you have any good tips on outfitting your car or truck and staying safe while driving, drop some of those comments down below. I'm sure there are some other tech gadgets that we can use to enhance our vehicles. As always, thanks so much for watching, for sharing these videos, and subscribing to the channel. You know where you can find me around the rest of the internet, at SomeGadgetGuy on the Twitters and the Twitch. Now a little bit more on the Mastodons and the Flickrs, not so much on the Facebooks or the Instagrams, and I will catch you all on the next video.